Hello and welcome. This is Working Class to World Class. But before we go any further, I do have a little favour of you. If you could hit that follow or subscribe button, then that would be a massive help. Thank you. In this episode, I chat with a remarkable lady who shares hints and tips on well-being and how that positive and determined mindset can really help you achieve your own dreams and goals. In her case, a multi-dollar business. Breaking through the barriers of adversity. I'm Lynn Lester, and this is Working Class to World Class.
So Whitney, thank you so much for joining me today. It looks really sunny wherever you are.
Thanks, Lynn. Yeah, I'm in sunny Miami today.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. I'm not quite in Scotland. I'm in London. But, you know, I could do with being in Miami, I have to say.
Yeah, come on over.
Yeah.
Great weather.
Be careful what you wish for. I'll be in the next plane out of here. So thank you so much, as I say, for joining me. And obviously today, I really just want our viewers to see, you know, a bit about your story, where you came from. But of course, Sakara Life is your business. But a lot of people tuning in might not actually know what it is. So would you mind just sort of giving me, giving everybody a bit of an update?
Yeah, absolutely. So my company is called Sakara Life, or Sakara for short. We started it now over 10 years ago, and we're most widely well known for our nutrition programs that we deliver all across America, all fresh, nutritionally designed, all organic ingredients, delivered straight to your door. We also have different types of wellness products, snacks, supplements. Everything is really designed to support your body with its nutritional needs so that you can feel your best and go out and shine your light and give the gifts that only you have with the world. And then we also have a podcast as well, as the Sakara Life podcast. We have a cookbook. The last time I was over in the UK was on our cookbook tour. Our cookbook is called Eat Clean, Play Dirty. That's one of our mottos, that you are what you do the majority of your time. So we try to help flood your body with all those clean, healthy, plant-based foods. And then, you go out and you enjoy the cocktails and the French fries and all the delicious foods that the world puts around you. Because you gotta just enjoy life, right?
Do you know, you're absolutely right. And I think, we'll get to your background, in a second, but I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's all about, it's enjoying life. It's, having that torch and that spark. And I think what you're doing is brilliant. Actually, one of my friends in the States, she follows you on Instagram. She thinks you're amazing. So when I said you were involved in this, she's like, oh my God, she's so cool. So yes, you do have fans that I am aware of. And could we then go back to, you weren't always this entrepreneur, super successful. So could you sort of take a trip down memory lane and give us a bit of an insight into you? Like, where were you born?
Yeah, sure. Well, so, definitely didn't start out with where we are today. Today we're a company of over 300 people, and have just an amazing team, Harvard MBAs and all sorts of types of people that work for our company. We deliver, we've delivered millions of meals. We deliver millions of meals every year all across the country. So, but we started really small. Danielle, who's my business partner, she and I grew up together in Sedona, Arizona, which is like this small kind of hippie spiritual town, really on the forefront of the mind-body-food connection, I would say. So my parents moved to Sedona in the 70s, and they were entrepreneurs themselves. My father was an architect, and they were building spec homes and doing development there. And I was raised with this understanding of food as medicine. I was that kid that my mom would grind her own peanut butter, which that's such an American thing too, isn't it? Peanut butter.
Absolutely.
She would grind her own peanut butter, and I would be that kid with the peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the bread with all the twigs and berries sticking out of it. And I always wanted that Wonder Kids bread, the really white bread, but my mom didn't want me to eat that. She wanted me to eat healthy, organic foods. And, I would say that upbringing of being surrounded by people, really eccentric people from all over the world, live in Sedona and come to Sedona, that it's this place for healing, all different types of healing modalities. So my father, he was an architect and a developer, but then every Tuesday night he would study with a Reiki master. So there was this, kind of level of business, but also spirituality. He would take classes with a Kung Fu master, and really was teaching me that how the mind plays such a huge role in our reality, and how energy is, it's something real, that it's not just this esoteric thing, it's a real thing, and how it affects all of us in our lives. So he ran his own business, and I remember going back into his office as a kid, and he was training with this Kung Fu master, and the teacher was teaching him how to break through stacks of boards, and he worked his way up to, breaking through cinder blocks and through stacks of red bricks. And he gave me a board to break. And I remember him saying, I was so little, I was so small. And I was saying, I can't do this. I can't break a board with my hand. And he was telling me that it's not about your strength. It's about your belief that your hand can go through the board, and visualizing your hand going through the board that actually breaks it. And, and so it was little moments like those that really influenced my mindset growing up, I would say. Just that the mind and your thought patterns and what you think about yourself and think about the world really play a role in who you are and what you're to become.
That is so true. And so firstly, the Kung Fu master training sounds cool. So I'm a third Dan in karate and in Shotokan karate, third Dan black belt. So I've been training for a long time. We don't actually break boards. It's not part of our traditions. So, but I mean, that is super cool. And I guess it's mind over matter, isn't it? It's like you believe it, you'll become it. So it sounds to me as if it sounds like quite a magical environment that you were brought up in, and surrounded by people that just believed in maybe things that were impossible. I kind of get that sense. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it translated into my business, where Sakara is a Sanskrit word, and it means with form, or it's giving form to things that don't have form yet, your thoughts and your dreams and ideas, that they're all floating around out there in the ether. And how do you take them and turn them into something real, something you can touch and feel and share with others? And so it's kind of this concept of taking your thoughts and turning them into a reality, into things. So it's a really big piece of my life today. I believe that, the information that we take in, what we listen to, like podcasts like this, who we surround ourselves with, it all plays a role in who we are to become. That all of this information starts to shift and form our thoughts. And really, that's where it all starts. It all starts with a thought.
Yeah, well, it's got to start somewhere, hasn't it? And it's like that little seed that grows into something amazing. And, I guess the sort of premise of this, your father obviously had his own business, and it all sounds quite grand and amazing. But obviously this is around working class to world class. So what kind of adversities did you have in your life?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely didn't grow up with a super wealthy family. They were making a living for themselves. And, my father taught me, if you can't find work, you make it for yourself. So when I graduated from college, I put myself through school. I worked really hard, studied really hard, became valedictorian of my class, and got a full ride scholarship to go to college, where, they paid for my schooling, they paid for my books. And it was because, I was working really hard and studying hard to earn that, that I knew that I needed to pay my own way to school. And and so, yeah, I really started just kind of on my own with this mindset that that's what my parents gave me, was a hardworking entrepreneurial mindset. And going in, going into school and coming out of school, I didn't know what I was going to do. I got a job working for Merrill Lynch, but I remember that in my, these early jobs, I was getting paid something like $1,500 US dollars a month, and which is, really not enough to live on. So on top of that, I was working multiple other jobs. I was cocktail waitressing. I was doing gig jobs, and anything from being an extra on a TV show to some modeling jobs, just whatever it took in order to pay the bills, really. And in a way, I feel like all of this, not having everything just handed to me, but really having to work for it, trained me to be a hard worker. And you probably hear this from a lot of people that come onto your show, don't you? Where it's almost like, when you're in it, it feels so hard. But when you look back, it's almost like it was a gift. The struggle was a gift, building the muscles, building the strength to be able to handle the really hard things that come later.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it molds you, doesn't it, into who you become. You never take it for granted, because you might lose it just as quick as you gain it. So I think when you're starting to build, you just hold on to that hope, because it then becomes your reality. And you're like, yeah, I certainly don't want to go back down. But my mum used to always say, be kind to people on the way up, because you might meet them on the way back down again. And it's true in life, isn't it? You just don't know what's going to happen at all. And
absolutely.
So for you growing up then, so obviously your dad, had a real good work ethic. What did your mum do?
So my mom helped my father with the family business, but my parents divorced when I was about 5 years old, and my mom took over the family business. My dad had to start another one, and she took over the business. And I remember, put herself through school at night to learn how to run the business. So, she'd be taking care of me and my sister during the day, and then at night going to the local community college to pick up the skills to be able to run a business on her own, understand how to do the bookkeeping and accounting, and write up legal documents and do all of these different things. And so I, from a very young age, started helping her as well. She would, set me up on our desktop computer, that gigantic computer on the desk, as those computers used to be, and have me work on drafting up leases with her. So we had commercial and industrial properties, and we would draft those up, and then also do things like at night go over and clean the bathrooms in the buildings and sweep the parking lot, and really just do whatever needed to be done. And my mom would also do that in whatever hours of the day. I would drive over with her in the car, and if it was late, I would even just sleep in the car, and she would go and do clean out units or go tidy up the bathroom, as I was saying. And I remember, it was these buildings, and she, on not just one occasion, but multiple occasions, opened the door to find somebody inside, sleeping inside. And if you can imagine, a single woman opening the door at night by herself to find somebody inside, how surprising that must have been. And she would have to kick them out, no sleeping there. It would be, a homeless person who was looking for somewhere to sleep for the night, or maybe a tenant who, somebody that worked for one of her tenants, that were all kind of, like mechanics and painters and carpenters and these types of people. And so, she was just such a strong woman to be able to do all of those things on her own like that.
Wow. So she obviously had a lot of graft in her. She was doing a lot of, while she had the business, she was doing a lot of menial kind of jobs. But I guess that's how she built her skills and, I suppose was aware of what she was doing for a living. But you must have learned a lot from seeing your mum do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And she really taught me that women can do anything. I think in her generation, her father told her she wanted to be like a CIA in the CIA. And her father told her that was a man's job, that she needed to go to school to become a secretary, that's a woman's job. And so, that's what she did. And, but I think she wanted it to change for me and for the next generation, to really just instill that feeling of that women can do anything that men can do. So growing up, I played sports. She wouldn't let me be a cheerleader. She said, "You'll have cheerleaders cheer for you. You're going to go out and play the sports." When I started my career in finance, which was a very male-dominated industry, it still is, but she was very much, saying women can be in finance, women can be in charge of their own finances, and really encouraged me to go after my dreams.
That sounds amazing. I think the thing is, it's the whole woman thing, isn't it? Like, because years ago it was very, frowned upon if women did certain things. So you definitely broke the mold. I mean, look at you now. You're this very successful, entrepreneur.
I mean, but it's been hard. I think especially when it comes to fundraising as a female entrepreneur, Danielle and I have hit our roadblocks along the way and have encountered just a lot of different types of people and a lot of men who maybe kind of have given us a pat on the head, or, I mean, we've even received comments like, "Oh, you're too pretty to have a business." And we're like, "I'm not sure what that means. Would you tell your daughter that?" And just, we never realized that we were any other type of entrepreneur other than just an entrepreneur until we went out to raise money from men. And that even still today is very much a boys' club. Still, there are more and more women coming into the world of investing into venture capital. We have some amazing female investors invested into Sakara, but it still is hard. It's still a struggle. It hasn't become an equal playing field for women when it comes to investment.
Wow. I think you're right. I mean, I think that's the same for many women entrepreneurs. And like, to sort of go back to your past as well,
Yeah.
were you brought up on your own, or did you have any siblings?
I have an older sister. She is 6 years older than me. So, it was kind of this hybrid of feeling like I had an older sibling, but then at a certain point feeling like I was an only child because she went off to college, moved out of the house, I think when she was 17. Yeah. So I was 11. And after that, it felt more like being an only child for a while until we were a little older. And then it felt more like we were the same age and really reconnected. I would say when I was in my early 20s, I moved to Spain while I was in college, studied abroad, and ended up staying there for 2 years. And she actually came and lived over in Spain for 6 months as well. So we got to really reconnect and, understand each other as adults, which was a special time.
Definitely. I'm the youngest of 7 children. So for me, for a
Oh my goodness.
I felt like an only child, although my sister was like 14 years up, but I was definitely the baby in amongst this huge, big family. So I'm totally with you. But I think as you get older, you do connect, don't you, as friends? It's not really siblings anymore. It's like best buds or people that you can go to for advice, your advisors.
Yeah. And I mean, it's such a gift to have a sibling because things happen in life. And I think, especially as you get older, having somebody there that's a thought partner with you, somebody that's there to help you think about how you're going to take care of your parents as they're aging. It's helpful to have somebody that's in it with you, I think.
Definitely. And so growing up with your sister, regardless of the sort of age gap, like, do you feel, were you brought up, of a life of privilege, do you think? Or do you think it was very normal?
I mean, I think you have to have a certain perspective on it, which, I thought that it was very normal, and there were plenty of kids that I knew who had much greater means than we had. There were times where, like, I remember my father being upset that he had bought us tickets to go to the movies for me and a friend, and then that friend canceled. And he was upset about it because, that money could have bought us a dinner. So,
Yeah.
very, very tight on money. But, from the perspective that we're a, white middle class family, there were absolutely privileges that came along with that. So, it depends on what your perspective is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is there, so like, when you look at somewhere, let's say the UK, so when we say working class, it's very much like, you're claiming benefits, your free school dinners, whatever. But I guess the sort of sentiment is different in other parts of the world. So, I mean, would you class it as middle class in America? Is that still like a kind of, I guess, a humble place to be over there?
Yeah, I mean, it was very humble, I would say. I'd say, well, my parents were entrepreneurs, so we had times that were great and that we had money, and there were times that were low and we had nothing. So
Yeah.
it depended on what was going on with the business and with the economy and with the world. But I felt like I had to work and earn things myself. If I wanted to go to camp, I had to, work the camp car wash and babysit and do all of these jobs to be able to pay for myself to go to camp. Or if I wanted to buy a bicycle, it was the same kind of thing, of earning the money myself in order to get the things that I wanted. And so it was really, different. And then at different times, I also remember, my dad driving a Porsche and, having more money. And then when he passed away, when I was 18, he literally had like $180 in his bank account. So, I think the life of an entrepreneur is, it's not linear. There are ups and downs within it.
That must be really difficult because, let's be honest, people tuning in from the start here would probably sit there and think, well, wait a minute, her dad ran a business, her mum was involved in it, it was very privileged, but actually it was very unpredictable because, as you say, one minute you're living the high life and the next minute you've got nothing. And I think that's what people have to be quite clear on this. It's not, working class to world class is you might have had it and then you lost it, or so I just think, I guess that's,
and also it's
cool. Yeah.
It was a small business. It wasn't a corporate business. It was a family kind of mom and pop business that took a lot of work, where my mom didn't have employees. She had to, be the bookkeeper, the lawyer, the, cleaning crew. She did everything herself within that business. And
Yeah.
same with my father. It was all about your business is a reflection of how hard you work and the energy and the effort that you put into it. And it's not easy. That you have to lean into those moments that are really hard, like when you open that door and somebody is inside, and it's scary and it's difficult, but those are the things that allow you to have a business. And I think without that, I don't know what my parents would have done for work. So it was really kind of this, a survival business that they built.
Yeah, I think that really sums it up nicely. A survival business. It's a means to an end. It's keeping a roof over your head, putting food on the table. And I guess, when you're brought up in that unpredictability, I can imagine it's actually maybe really more difficult than being just outright working class, because if you have it one minute and you don't have it the next minute, how do you deal with that from your friend's point of view? 1 minute you're keeping up and the next minute, well, you can't.
Yeah, and I think it was just watching my parents and how they felt about it, that it was kind of this understanding that my dad would talk to me about, of that this is what life looks like, that you can't just expect it to be amazing all the time, that sometimes you're going to be at the top and sometimes you're not. But what matters is how you get back in, that, you just keep going and you keep working at it. And now I talk about how success is 66% stamina, that just staying in when it's really hard and you want to quit and you want to give up, you keep going.
I mean, that's absolutely brilliant, because you think to yourself, it goes back to the, never expect it to be the way you thought it was going to be, because anything can change. Like a flick of a switch, it can be gone. So how does that help you in your business now? Like, what's your mentality when you're running the business, paying the bills?
Yeah, I think it's been beneficial to just have lower expectations, where I'm not only expecting the business to be up and to the right all the time. And I think that has affected the types of investors we've brought in. There are certain investors who must have a return for their LPs, their limited partners behind them, that they have promised a certain return to their investors. And we didn't bring in those kind of investors into our business. We brought in real people, high net worth individuals with their money who believe in our mission to transform lives through the power of food as medicine, and who are patient capital. And so, the world is in a recession. We're headed into a deeper recession next year in 2023. And, we built the business from the ground up. Literally, Danielle and I were cooking the meals ourselves, delivering on bicycle. And, we started with one meal at a time, one client at a time. And so we know what every step of the business building up looks like. So if we have to downsize for a year or two, we know what that looks like. And we can scale up and we can scale down, we can scale back up again. And so I think just having that humble mindset of understanding that the world works in cycles and that it's not always going to look the same and up and to the right every single day has been really helpful.
Yeah, it's just keeping it real, isn't it? I mean, I wish more entrepreneurs were like you, because life is just not a simple game plan. And for you to build the business, so we get a really nice insight into your upbringing, the whole spiritual. I absolutely love that. So we should talk later. I would love to hear more. But you've kind of got that spiritual side and the sort of believing in yourself. So talk me through, like, kind of how did you come to start and form your business, like with your friend? I mean, that must be pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, Danielle and I grew up together and then moved to New York City. Like I said, started my career at Merrill Lynch. Danielle was studying medicine to become a doctor. She also, very humble beginnings. She grew up on food stamps at certain times, single mother, and put herself through college, paid for her schooling, working 100 different jobs. I remember even in high school, she was working 5 different jobs to buy herself a car. She bought herself a car at 14, which is, you're not even legally allowed to drive
I was going to say
at that age.
That's cool.
But, she was always kind of one who made her own rules. And so fast forward, I graduated from school and was kind of considering New York or LA. And she said, come to New York. You can live with me. You can sleep in my bed. You can wear all my clothes. Like, don't bring anything. And then she was like, no, really, don't bring anything because we have no space. She lived in a small 2-bedroom wing apartment, which is, her bedroom was basically the size of her queen size bed. It, would touch the walls. And she shared this apartment with another girl. So it was 2 bedrooms connected by a little hallway. That hallway just happened to have a miniature kitchen inside of it. It was, super teeny tiny. And so I moved in with her and I did sleep in her bed and I wore all her clothes, but it allowed us to, be there and get going in New York City. And so we both kind of found ourselves at this rock bottom place together, in our bodies. We each had different kind of health concerns going on. I had terrible cystic acne all over my face. I had different hormonal imbalances, gut disorders, anxiety. And she, also had different gut disorders going on. She had been a yo-yo dieter since the age of 9. And it had really, caught up with her from a digestive place and then also from a mental health place of, just the relationship that she had with food and with her body. It wasn't in a good place. And at the same time, she was seeing patients up at St. Luke's Hospital, patients with late stage lifestyle diseases like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. And was just wondering, like, who gets to people before they hit that point of needing surgery or pharmaceutical intervention? Who's talking to people about what a healthy lifestyle actually looks like, about what you should eat or how you should move or how you can manage stress? And she'd been in school for 5 years and hadn't taken a single nutrition class. And, the renowned cardiologist that she was training under, that he didn't have the information to tell people how to eat to take care of their hearts or their health. And so she decided to change her path to go to nutrition school instead, to be on the other side of health and of healing, on the preventative side, to help people before it gets too late, or to try and reverse some of the damage that has been done to their bodies through their lifestyle. And so really we came together to figure out, what does true health look like? What should we be eating? How should we be living? And we used the science that she was learning in school, things around epigenetics and nutrigenomics, and how what you eat and your environment affects which genes are actually turned on and off in your body, about your microbiome and how it's the epicenter of your health, how it controls everything from your mood to your energy to how many calories you absorb from a meal. And we started to put these pillars together with some of the things that we learned growing up, back to that hippie mind, body, food, medicine way of life. Some of these ancient food traditions like Ayurveda, Taoism has a food philosophy, and saw different pieces of overlap within them, where modern science had been supporting what some of these, food philosophies that were developed thousands of years ago said to do. And we pulled together these threads that we now call our pillars of nutrition and started to design meals around those pillars. And this was, this wasn't a business. It was just, we were really at a place where we needed it to survive for our own health. And it was so life-changing. It was so transformative. Like my skin finally started to clear up. My digestive started to flow. My anxiety went away. And, Danielle had her own transformation where she finally felt good in her body. And we just had this overwhelming feeling that this was our mission, that this was so much bigger than just two girls trying to figure out how to live and how to survive in busy New York City. We had to share it with as many people as possible. And so that really, set us off on this journey to do it. But as we were saying, we didn't have any money. I mean, we were working those 5 jobs each, just trying to survive. And we actually threw a dinner party to raise some money, invited our friends to come and charged them tickets.
Wow, good for you.
And at the end of the night, we had $700, which for us was a lot of money at that time. And with that money, we bought our domain name, sakaralife.com, not sakara.com, which we have today, which cost us $40,000 to buy. We bought sakaralife.com for $12.99. And because that's what we could afford, we printed marketing cards, and we just started putting them out and spreading the word about the business that we had and what we were doing. And people started to call us. And when you create a product that really impacts people's lives like this does, they tell their friends about it. So we had no marketing budget. But people started calling us and started ordering, and we built one by one, and those friends would tell their friends and they would order. And that was really how we got started. Just like I said, cooking ourselves. We'd, cook all throughout the night. And then once we were able to actually hire a delivery guy, we'd have multiple days where those delivery guys wouldn't show up. And so we'd have to, go the next day and in the morning and deliver out to clients. And then after that, come back and be the client service people and answer emails. And just kept in that cycle. And I mean, thinking back to it now, I have a little bit of PTSD just because it was so hard and so stressful and so much work doing it all on our own. But, grateful that we also got to learn every piece of the business ourselves and just by doing it all.
That's amazing. I mean, if you think about it, the saying, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I'm sure that's a song. But, and at what point did you then think, this is it, we've made it now, we're sort of getting into the big time?
Yeah. I mean, it still felt like a small business to us for quite a long time, because I remember people would ask us that, like, oh, when did you know you made it? And I'd be like, I'm still trying to make it. But I think it was probably when we were able to deliver meals to our moms in Arizona that was a really big moment of like, wow, we are delivering food across the country, thousands of miles away, being able to help people in all different parts all across America. I think that was a really big moment for us.
Wow. I mean, I think the thing is, you do have these indicators, don't you? And you're like, I guess you don't want to get too above your station just in case, But I mean, it sounds amazing. And growing up, like then I feel as though your upbringing has really molded you as a sort of real stable, humble businesswoman, if I can call you that. But what do you think are the main learnings that you took away from that childhood?
I think some of the most important lessons that I learned from my childhood and my upbringing were around, having that stamina, having that grit, earning what you have, not having that expectation of entitlement, but that you need to earn the things in life, and that you'll actually have more appreciation for those things when you do earn them, that it's going to feel even better knowing that you worked hard to earn those things in your life. So that's that kind of combination of grit and stamina plus humility and being humble in your mindset. I'd say also having a growth mindset was something that I learned, where when you see these challenges, when they come your way, to look for what is the lesson here? What do I need to change? What is the world telling me through, this issue, this challenge that has come up? Because if you don't learn it in that moment, it's going to come back again in a different form. So, taking every challenge as an opportunity to learn and grow and develop. And then probably that in business, it's not just about business development and business growth, but it's about your own personal spiritual development. That your business will not grow if you yourself don't grow. If you don't grow your mindset, if you don't grow your management skills, your people skills, if you don't, it's like being in a relationship, right? Where you have to compromise. There are certain things that you need to change and learn. And so being open to being molded by other people and your surroundings, I think has really helped us, helped me, helped Danielle, helped us as in our partnership, to be able to, last in our partnership for 10 years and build a successful business.
I mean, it's just a beautiful story, two friends from childhood, now business partners. And I think to me, it's really obvious that you've been each other's support mechanism through life and now in business. And I also think, what's really beautiful about your story is, I think a lot of people can take away some of those nuggets, about believing in yourself, your work ethic, being humble, because actually put together well becomes a really good package of how not only you lead a business, but how you lead your life. And I don't know about you, I do believe in karma. I think that's got something to do with it, how you treat other people, how you think. So, I think this has been amazing. I want to say thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure there's so many more things we could talk about, but, I just feel that you've really, I guess, gifted people, brilliant advice. So thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you, Lynn, for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.